Hello viewers, this is Gautam Gupta once again welcoming you to the channel of Ripple's Nature Inspired Aquarium. In the month of March this year, that is 2022, we visited Odisha. You must have seen the videos that we have released earlier on the various aquarium shops that we visited in Bhubaneswar and the aquarium that we had set there. We also took that opportunity to visit the Satkoshia Wildlife Sanctuary. Our viewers may be already aware, but for those who are not aware of Satkoshia, it is a wildlife sanctuary in the Angul district of Odisha. It is actually located in a place where the mighty river Mahanadi passes through a 22-kilometer gorge cutting through the eastern Ghat mountains. We thoroughly enjoyed our stay, took boat rides in the Mahanadi gorge, trekked through forest and enjoyed a mesmerizing sunset. But the video is not about Satkoshia. I'll cover the full trip in an upcoming episode. I was actually accompanied in this trip by Mr. Andrew Rao. Andrew has more than 35 years of experience in exploring various wildlife habitats and is a storehouse of knowledge. So I took this opportunity to interview him about the Indian ornamental fish and their use in aquariums. Do see the video till very end, and I can promise you viewers that you will definitely get a lot of knowledge from the vast reserve that Andrew has in this field. The interview covers a diverse set of topics, from fishes which are suitable for planted aquarium to how overexploitation of the natural habitats can be avoided. So viewers, I'm sure you will enjoy this interview, and let's get started with it. Good afternoon friends. This is Gautam Gupta from Ripple's Nature Inspired Aquarium, a unit of Nature Cube. We have come to this place called Satkoshia in Odisha. Okay, you have seen in the first part that we are on a 5-day visit to Odisha, and we came to Satkoshia Wildlife Reserve.
Satkoshia Gorge.
Satkoshia Gorge. And I have with me Andrew. I think most of the viewers of this channel who are from an aquarium background must be knowing about Andrew. For those few who do not know about Andrew, he is, I think, one of the foremost experts of Indian ornamental fish, the #1 exporter also, Malabar tropical, right? Malabar.
Yes, that's right.
Right. And also a very good friend of mine. I have learnt a lot about fish keeping from Andrew. So I thought, in this kind of a sylvan surrounding, surrounded by nature, why don't we, discuss a little bit about fish keeping in general. Okay, Andrew, thanks for, coming with me and also for this short interview.
Thanks for having me on this trip, on this lovely trip.
Pleasure, pleasure. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that we are all from, you know me, that, I'm basically from planted tank. I've got a few favorite fishes of mine, like for example, the Balitoras and the Sucatios, and also I think those Pythia canias and baddies obviously are some favorite of mine. So why don't you tell our viewers, like starting with the planted aquarium category, okay, which are the fish you believe are a great option for aquarists out here?
Basically, there are several categories of fish like barbs, catfishes, algae eaters, eels, and then you have a variety of indigenous endemic species of colorful shrimps. Now, of these we have to choose the smaller size ones, and I forgot to mention the rasbora, micro rasbora types. So the smaller ones which are tight schooling and do not nip plants, do not nip each other, are not aggressive towards each other, such fish are perfect for a planted. And like some of the very big, most in demand or popular are like the Horadandia brittany, the Labuca dadibujuri, the Pythia canius, which belongs to the Gelius group, Gelius complex. You have canius, you have aurea, you have aureus, and you have Gelius.
Okay.
And you can go in for a little bit medium size like melon barbs, which are very colorful, especially during breeding season. As the name implies, melon, lovely red colors.
That's right, I've kept it.
And dwarf catfishes like Pseudolagovia, Shoi, Muricata, Ferruginia, Ribera, Ferula. These are tiny fish which are around 2.5 cm and are non-aggressive towards other species, including shrimps. Shrimps, you have the Caridina species which can stay well because they are algae eaters also. So they do a cleanup job in the tank. And you have the green bubble tea, rainbow bubble tea. Then you have the Caridina hodgati, which is the rhino shrimp, which comes in a various number of color patterns. They could be very well different species till some scientist does a genetic work on them. And you have the next category, which is alligators. Alligators are very important for a nature planted tank.
Right.
And one of the most popular, some have even swore they are better than Otocinclus of South America. So fish like Silorhynchus, Balitora and Silorhynchus, Sucatio are the least aggressive and they don't bother. Balitora moves on the substrate, Sucatio sits like monkeys on the plant leaves and they start cleaning the individual leaves. So there are other varieties like Gara and Parasilorhynchus, but they could be aggressive towards others.
Right.
But you could always try if you don't have small shrimps in your tank. So this is the general layout, and maybe some of the Trichogaster group like the dwarf gourami, honey gourami, these two. The noble gourami, which is a Stenops nobilis, these are very, very
easy to keep
and non-aggressive and non-plant biters, or rather leaf biters.
Okay.
So this sort of sums up and some dwarf eels like Pilaya indica or maybe Macrognathus and loaches of the Sistera group. Not botias, because botias will prey on other fish and they will dig the plants off.
So you have made Channas very popular among aquarists. Okay?
Yes.
So which is the Channa you feel is a good thing for a planted tank, where it can be kept in a planted tank?
Well, actually, a lot of again in Channas you have the dwarf, medium, and large and jumbo sizes.
That's right.
Jumbo, medium, large, medium maybe, but large. These two are out for a planted tank, while medium category has the Channa Stuarti with its various variants, geographical variants mainly, could be separate species after some genetic work is done on them. And you have the dwarf Channa snakeheads like Channa Blairi, Channa Andrau, and
Meghalaya also, true blue.
Medium is you have the cold water Channas. I'll come to the cold water Channas after this.
Okay.
So these basically live in areas where there are plants.
Okay.
So they basically nest in them, hide in them, because Channas are aggressive by nature. So they need to hide from a bullying dominant species. So they go into the plants and hide there. So that's important. So they will never uproot the plants. And you can keep ditha fish with a lot of the medium-sized Channa because they won't prey on them. The small Channa will prey on the medium-sized fish, like tetras or whatever. So because that's food item for them. But the medium, they want to go in for slightly bigger. Prey. So
that's an interesting
and then you have the cold water Channas, which are fantastically colored, mainly with a bright blue or a sky blue coloration, but you would need a chiller. and you need plants which can stay in those cold. Some fish like the Meghalaya leopard, Channa padalis, requires in winters 16 degrees centigrade.
Okay, that might be
And
tough.
normally it would be max is 20, 21, 22. But then again, the warmer it gets, the color starts become from blue to gray. Then they
see.
stop eating too. So it's still, we have to find some other way to get them in tropical places like Kolkata, Madras, Chennai, Bombay, where people can keep them successfully, even with a chiller.
Thank you for that. This is a very beautiful place, so we changed the position. You can see, what was that name, the hill, Bapi? Baigani Hill. Okay. So Andrew, coming to the next question. So we understood the fish which are popular among Indian hobbyists.
Yes.
What about the hobbyists around the world where you are sending? Which kind of fish they are liking?
Actually, over here it changes a bit, or rather develops a little bit more, because in India, a lot of the people, maybe due to lack of space or due to having a tight budget, as very good planted tanks are expensive or on the expensive side. So they basically go in for mini tanks,
Okay.
15 inch,
That's
18
right,
inch,
that's right,
24 inch or maybe 30 inch. They have people who have much larger tanks in India. In fact, very, very large tanks they have, but that's a very minuscule population of enthusiasts. So we need to put in the small tanks, small fish which are suitable for a planted tank or for a small planted tank. Abroad, many of them starting from 3 feet or 4 feet. So those people are going in for the next category. They're having these schooling fish which can grow when adult to maybe 3 centimeter size, like the Julius barbs and the Canias,
Right.
and some of the loaches which can grow a bit bigger, and bedis for that matter. And so they go in for fish like melon barbs, which can go up to 3 inches, and we have 2 varieties of anabantid, like paradise. Paradise fish means belonging to the beta group.
Right.
They are pseudos from Manus cupanus and Dai, the spike-tailed paradise and the brown paradise. And these look lovely, but they may go after shrimps and such. Bedis may go after shrimps because these are strictly live feed eaters.
They are predators.
Yeah, and they are live feed eaters. So, but when someone wants it, then eels also grow to quite big sizes. But eels have the spiny eel groups have a bad habit of digging
That's right.
into the substrate. So more suitable would be like the earthworm eel or the coolie loaches
I've seen the
of
black one,
various.
the black.
India we have 3-4 varieties, but basically available in the trade is Pangyo, Pangya,
Acha.
and other coolie loaches from other countries, from Thailand or anywhere, can be placed in those type of tanks. Some have even put in cichlids like orange chromide, Atroplus, Pseudoatroplus maculatus. So
And
this is basically.
that's a vast body of knowledge, Andrew. For our viewers, he has got more than 35 years of experience in this field, and a lot of species has been named after him. Like I remember Channa and Rao, and then there are a couple of Orithus species also. But I think
Not couple, one, Orithus andrewi.
And my favorite bat is Andrew Ravi, right? I got
Yes,
it right
that's
this time. And I think there is another Nados variety, right?
Nandus,
That was the first one.
yeah, leaf fish.
That's right. That's right. Okay. As these are wild caught fish, and I have also faced some difficulty in kind of acclimatizing them. So some tips for our hobbyist friends, like how to acclimatize and wild caught fish.
Most importantly is we have to keep them on a minimum conditioning period of 2 weeks to 3 weeks, which no one does. I'm not the only native fish trader. So a lot of people, they bring in the fish and they try to sell off, basically because they have a lot of debts on their hand because they don't have the know-how to keep them. But you have to sort of make the fish pass through a deworming session,
Right.
and cut the stress factor, because they are seeing humans for the first time and they will go ballistic in the tanks, snub their noses against the glass, jump, because most planted tanks don't have lids. So if you have the fish on the floor, that's no use for the keeper. So these things have to be borne in mind. So should not be always seen from the price angle, because naturally a fish which is conditioned will be a little more expensive than a fish which is non-conditioned.
That's true.
So it's
Yeah, I think mostly people, kind of they overlook the factor that these fish are seeing humans for the first time. So quite obviously, they would get more stressed. That's right. That's right. Okay. There is I have heard in the hobby circle people talking about that because these fish are kind of wild collected, okay, so it's kind of harming nature. Okay, what's your view on that, Andrew?
basically, as the human population is increasing, there is a lot of development work going into semi-forested lands or agricultural lands, and people would always like to stay near water sources. This is primary. Now, unfortunately, in a country like India, maybe due to the reasons of economy, etc., they prefer to wash their clothes, dump their rubbish, and even perhaps drink that same water. And then you have big factories, chemical
waste.
factories, and then dumping their waste, pumping the waste all into a river. So this is going on in a much larger scale as the years continue, and the fish are being affected. Now there are other forms apart from these forms which are affecting fish. One is the tea industry. The tea industry, they use chemicals, pesticides such as thiodine,
Okay.
which they put for the plant, the tea bushes conservation, so that for pests, etc. And those are like in an elevated region, and they have got gullies, series of gullies.
That's right.
And those vegetation during a rain, so water is washed and the gully is going and leading to the
streams.
nearest forest stream. So you'll find that forest stream crystal clear but devoid
Of any fish.
of any living creature, in fact, as I have seen. Number two is softening of jute. Whether in South Bengal it is natural ponds, and in North Bengal it is the hill stream, because there is no natural ponds over there. So as the government is helping the propagation of jute as an alternative source of income, these people are all getting start-up capital to do the jute work, simple villagers. So if you have a 20-kilometer stretch of the river, all the adjoining villages and hamlets are all doing jute.
And they are
And they are the jute is being softened in those waters,
Right.
which is a kind of fermentation, because the smell can be smelt
I
even
know.
1.5 to 2 kilometers away. Now, if that is the situation in the odor, so you can imagine what's happening inside the water, where those fish from otherwise pristine waters are not able to think. Now, those fish are showing, I haven't done pathological work, but maybe some scientists are on the job, dark black spots throughout the body, irrespective, mainly among barbs, mainly among beddies, even some rasbora type of fish. So, this is the future, which is not too good. South India and some other places have in the Western Ghats check dams, erection of check dams, which are basically being done for the help of the tea garden and coffee plantations. That's where the migratory route is getting blocked. And then again you have those pesticides which are being more concentrated in those otherwise running waters, because the water stops. So, it becomes still water instead of running flow. All this affects. We in the export trade, or rather the aquatic community dealing in wild caught fish, we are often castigated by various groups of people, many of them scientists, many of them others who are thinking, why should we pick up fish from the river, they are better off in the river, then we should stop eating fish too at the same time. Let there be no double standards in this. There is no way, because Indian fish is not even 0.0 something percent for demand worldwide. And even in our country, people are more interested in exotic species from South America and Africa than Indian species. So yeah, we are not at fault, basically.
I think what you were trying to say is that mainly because of human activities, pollution, etc., etc., a lot of wild caught fish are actually dying. The habitat is getting lost.
And check dams are blocking water flow.
And I also heard you some time back that you have seen, like, while people are catching edible fish, a lot of small fish are getting collected.
Which are normally aquarium fish. But then again, that demand isn't there. So, most of those fish which are dumped and the choice edible fish are taken out, and the other fish are just jumping on the river bank till they die, are wheeled off as in a wheelbarrow and used as, you won't believe, used as fertilizer for plants, I mean edible plants. No one takes the trouble of dumping them back into the water body.
So, I think that was a nice interaction we had, Andrew.
Yes.
And it was long pending. Because some of the fish are also getting into shit, like Denisoni recently has been kind of put in.
Legislation is taking effect.
Yeah, and which is okay. Some of the fish, and
yes.
I think the law of the land is taking the right call. On the closing thought, what is your view on trying to breed some of these fish which are getting extinct in the wild and maybe still keep them? Is it possible? Do you think that?
See, from the academic level, there have been people in southern India who have bred both freshwater indigenous species as well as some marine species too, and they've been successful. But impartation of knowledge has not been very popular, and people are not taking it up because they feel sometimes it's cheaper and easier to collect ready-made fish than to grow it in their tanks. That's one point, but a lot of people from the trade, since fish are going down less in numbers, or fish are, due to heavy pollution, are preferring to stay in the protected zones of the same river which is meandering through urban areas and protected zones. So, we have no access to collect those fish because it's a protected zone. So, it's against the law to go and catch there.
Right.
So, if we manage to get a few, so we give it to breeders, sincere breeders who are breeding, and there are a few species which are being done, but a lot more needs to be done. But the government should come forward to help us in that.
Thank you. I think that's a very nice interaction we had, Andrew. And tomorrow we are heading over to Puri.
Yes.
And we'll check out some water bodies.
Yes.
And see if we can collect some fish there.
And to pray to Lord Jagannath.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Fish keeping is indeed a fascinating hobby. There are so many things that you can keep in aquarium. For example, this is a aquarium that I have where I have kept a lot of Indian ornamental fish. This happens to be the 50th video of our channel, and I really wanted to make it something special, and hence I brought to you this interview with Andrew, okay, where I'm sure you have learnt a lot about Indian ornamental fish, the good, the bad, what can be kept in a planted tank, what you need to do to take care of the environment, etc., etc. So friends, the rich insights that you got from Andrew, I'm sure will encourage you to put up an aquarium dedicated for Indian ornamental fish. Having said that, you must be very careful, because once you get in the wild caught fish, you must know about their exact habitat, right? What kind of water conditions they come from, soft or hard, what kind of food they take. Many fish actually will only prefer wild caught, live food, and they will not take aquarium food. So if you don't have a facility to prepare live food, they will die, right? So please do keep in all these factors in mind, but definitely try out the Indian ornamental fish. That will give you a new angle to your hobby. This video is a part of the series that I am making on my Orissa trip. The last part would be the details on our travel through the Satkoshia Wildlife Sanctuary. So among all of our viewers who are travel enthusiasts, I'm sure will like the video, because you will get to know about Satkoshia, a beautiful place, what all you can do there, right, where to stay, stuff like that. So I would request you to definitely watch that video. It's the upcoming one. And having said that, I will also request you to please do subscribe to our channel Ripples Nature Inspired Aquarium. That encourages us to make many contents and take this channel forward. Thanks a lot. Keep on watching.